Welcome to Homefront Sit Rep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Homefront Sit Rep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Out on the edge of the battle and back, we've carried the weight and we've walked every track. From desert dust to the fire at home, we've learned how to fight, how to stand alone. But no one tells you what comes after the war. When silence is louder than the guns we bore, that's where we speak, that's where we heal. Stories too real for Hollywood reels. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see. We're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. It ain't all medals and waving flags. There's pain in the silence and weight in the bags. But we've got a mic and a mission to share, to tell the damn truth, cause somebody's gotta care. We laugh, we cry, we cuss, we pray. We honor the ones who ain't here today. From basic to battle and back to the block. This is our rhythm, our round table talk. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see. We're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. Still heavy in dreams out of reach. For the lessons the textbooks could never teach. We're sounding off, no filter, no prep. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. So if you've worn the boots or love someone who did, if you swallowed your hurt and kept it all hid, pull up a chair, you're not alone. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, where courage meets scars and raw honesty. This is our anthem, our truth intercept. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the ones still standing and those we've lost yet, for every single story we'll never forget. We speak so others won't forget. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. Real talk, real vets, real life. Homefront Sit Rep podcast, where the mission continues.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of Homefront Sit Rep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Didn't do much today. Sat around, watched a lot of football. You know, the kid got Sunday ticket. So we watched 4 or 5 games at once. And then, the Bengals are on local TV. So we didn't get to see that game because we had to go back and forth. And then cooked some dinner, ate that, and then caught the end of the NASCAR race. They went into overtime. Congrats to Kyle Larson and his whole crew and the entire Hendrick camp for their second championship. But yeah, man, Halloween was crazy here. I mean, I bet we had 800 kids come through here. We didn't do trick-or-treating this year. The wife and the boys and I went bowling. So took, a couple hours, did some bowling. I tell you what, that little one scored like a 28 on the first game. Come back and had 158 on his second game. Just crushed it. And then April, par for the course, 58 in 2 games. So, so I was like, we're good. But yeah, how was your weekend?
Nice. My week was all right. My weekend, so Friday night we went down to Meade County to watch the Bull East Chargers take on the Meade County Green Wave. While I was down there, I got to see Captain Evans, Marine Corps veteran, also head of Toys for Tots here in the Louisville area with the Marine Corps League. So I got to see him. because he's the voice of the Green Wave. So that was cool. Bullies did come out with a win. So that's also another amazing game. And then this Friday we got North Hardin at home. It'll be our last home game for our seniors, because I think the rest of the play, because we start playoffs this Friday. We play St. X next Friday if we win this Friday, and then so St. X is higher ranked, so we'll go to their house. And I think if we win that game, then we'll play whoever, and the RPI is going to be higher than our RPI. So I think we'll have to go to their home. So it's the last, and it's really these boys, the seniors. My wife was chairman for the youth football league that a lot of these boys played in. So that's why it's so emotional for my wife, because we watch these boys from little league all the way up.
Yeah.
And it's a senior year for them all, so it's definitely bittersweet. Like we don't have, like, Lo, when she was younger, played football with these boys, and then as she got older, she decided she didn't want to play football anymore and got into like speech and debate and all of that good jazz. But we still supported the boys, and so this will be the last year that they'll be there. And she's like, "Well, I think I'm gonna take a year off," and all of her friends, "Oh, you ain't." So we'll see what happens. But other than that, today actually was a lazy day for me as well. I didn't do a whole lot of anything today. The wife and youngest went to church, and then we went to lunch at Hometown Pizza afterwards, and then came back home. Like you, I was watching some football. Of course, I don't have a Sunday ticket, but I was watching the Vikings. And Packers, or not Packers,
No,
Steelers. I was watching the Steelers game and just flipping back and forth between the two. And so and it was a pretty good game, and I forget what I was watching. It was Detroit. Whoever Detroit was playing, I think they were playing Kansas City. I was watching that game.
No, Kansas City's
I
playing the Bills.
I don't know. Somebody was playing somebody. I don't know. I was just watching. Yeah, the Bills. There we go. Yeah. I was watching a little bit of everything. I was just flipping through the channels, just watching them. Of course, I have Hulu, so I do get quite a bit of the games, and but I don't have
Micah
Sunday
got
ticket
Sunday
anymore because I
ticket
don't have
dirt
TV
cheap for being a
anymore.
student.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean,
But do you got
one
DirecTV, or do you got?
I don't
Yeah.
know. No, we have.
Yeah, but you got DirecTV though, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Grace wants the WWE network.
Yeah.
Is there a little bit of lag?
There's a delay. Yeah, I don't know. There's something there. I don't know whose end it's on, but it is. Marie's in the back saying yes. Absolutely, there is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my end. Whose end is it on, Marie? Mine or Gunny's?
It's on you. You're freezing up.
We'll ask her in a minute when she comes up. We'll ask her. In a
She
minute.
was pointing
Maybe
to
it's
you.
on my end. Maybe I need a restart.
She's giving thumbs up. Yes, it's
All right.
on your
end. Okay.
That's what happens when you have dial-up.
I'll restart my computer. It's at Temu, man. It's at Temu Wi-Fi. Hold on here.
Anyway, while you're doing that, just a reminder, I will not be here tomorrow. Micah's got 2 races left in his season, and I'm going to go out there and watch him win. If he finishes first this week, he secures. What in the world are you doing, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
All right, so I'm trying to get this set up so I can restart my computer.
Well, that's not a good angle. You need to get you a tripod or something and put it up higher. We don't need to see up the nose. I'm just like,
sorry,
technical difficulties. She's been on the show before and knows how you are, because she'd be like, "These guys are so freaking out of control," and she'd probably log
Amateurs.
off and not come back. And
All right, so let me restart my computer real quick. But anyway, so we got Marie Hendrickson coming back on. Her story is phenomenal. It's poetry, faith. So
that's
faith,
phenomenal.
phenomenal. Faith, recovery, poetry, and she's also a podcast host. She hosts with Brian Ruth with Every Day's a Saturday, USMC Veteran. They have a new show called Coffee Talk with Marie and Brian. So I'm super excited to have her on. Look, Julie said phenomenal. Uh, let's see. So super excited to have her back on to tell more of her story. Because if you caught the first episode, we touched a little bit of her story, but we didn't get to do a deep dive into her story. So tonight, what are you laughing at?
Your wife's comment.
Interesting angle. Yeah. Well, I don't want to hold my phone up because I'm trying to get my computer restarted so I can get back in here. Uh, I'm watching it on TikTok. That's funny. As it going around. So it's not lagging here though, right? No delay on this end on my phone.
No, no, we're good right now. It was your desktop. See, your phone's operating off of some good Wi-Fi. That desktop is on that dial-up stuff. I'm
Yeah.
surprised you can hear the modem in the background trying to start up.
My wife's comments. Now she's gonna make me all friggin' paranoid. Good thing it's dark. It's kind of dark down here. Kind of, sort of.
We have lost all control of the show. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we have for sure. All right, why is my computer not coming back on?
I told you.
I think it's my desktop, man.
Maybe you need
All
to
right,
clean it up, like your nose.
so go ahead and bring Marie up and drop me down, and I'm gonna get my computer back up and running.
Oh, Willis.
Hey guys.
Drop me down, Gunny.
No, you're gonna be the rest of the show just like this.
No, I'm gonna be mess. Let me get this computer up and running.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Drop me down real quick.
Hey, I get it. My episode on Tuesday that we did, like I was on my computer at first, but then the internet wasn't working, so I had to go to my phone, and so I get it. I understand.
Yeah, we had to do this the other day too. His desktop was screwing up, so he brought his tablet or his desktop up, and we finished it, or the laptop, and we finished it that way. But yeah, craziness. And then he's gonna be down in the back room here, screwing around probably another half hour or so. So for those of you that missed the show the first time, Marie, if you would just introduce yourself to everybody again.
Hey guys, I am Marie Slider Henriksen, and yeah, like what Willis was saying, I am the co-host of Every Day is a Saturday USMC Veteran. My day-to-day life tends to be full of a lot of recovery advocacy. I do a lot of writing. I do like I just take calls from people who need someone to talk to. I just started a community on Facebook called Slider Babe, and it's down below my name. Slider Babe. It is a community. It's creatively healing out loud through community. It's encouraging other people to show how you are healing and show how creativity has helped you in that healing process. For me, it's been art. I've worked with oil pastels. I've done photography. I do writing. I write poetry, but I'm also working on a couple books. I do have done crafting things. I've done lots of different types of things, but creativity has been the one thing that's kind of pulled me out of the dark places for a long time. But yeah, so I do a lot of that stuff and then the podcasting, trying to get other people to share their stories. I've been through a lot in my life. from childhood trauma and foster care and adoption to military trauma and addictions and stuff like that. So it's kind of a real short intro.
Yeah, what did your service look like? What branch did you serve in? When did you serve? What was your MOS, your job?
So I was in the Army and I joined when I was 18 in 2006. And I trained in South Carolina and Texas, and also ended up going to Germany for a couple of years doing like a civilian job in a military uniform. And that's kind of where I got real lost into the addictions. I started using when I was a lot younger, but that was kind of when what they say is you turn into a pickle when you become the alcoholic. You start out as a heavy drinker and then you become an alcoholic, and in Germany, it was kind of where that happened for me. Um, and then I ended up getting stationed in Washington, and as soon as I was there, they're like, "Hey, get ready to deploy." So I did a year in Iraq, and then for the last year and a half of my service was a medical discharge because my hips had given out, and so then I was grounded to brigade duty and a desk job, and was on a dead man's profile for that last little while, and
Mhm.
really, really had a hard time after that. But that was I don't know, I'm not sure how much detail you guys want me to go into with everything, so you let me know, but I've got
It
stories beyond
it's
stories.
whatever you wanna share, it's
Yeah.
it's up to you, and, Willis and I always say if your story or my story or his story can reach one person and save one person, then we've done our job for the day, right? And, we all know that there's a serious epidemic within the veteran community, and we all know that the number they project is not the number that it is. We all know it's a lot higher than what it is. Um, but yeah, I was in the infantry for 9 plus years. 3 of it I spent on recruiting duty, and then after I got injured in Iraq, I was forced to move into another job or retire. And they gave me that option to stay in, so I stayed in and became a V-22 mechanic. In 5 years, I have 3 hours on the aircraft. That's it, because I was stressing the Marines out too much. And they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, but they're Marines, right? They're working on $83 million aircraft. I was like, oh, I never thought about that. So I got pulled upstairs into an admin job as well. And, still leading and training and mentoring Marines a little bit, but not the same as I was in
Mhm.
the infantry. So I definitely
Well,
get, losing that, identity and sense of purpose when you get taken out of your job and put into a desk position, if you will, and not being able to do anything other than try to fight for yourself and your benefits, and either stay in or get out, and your medical discharge stuff. And I took, I think, 2.5 years is what my medical discharge took, because I kept having to have a surgery, and then everything kept resetting, and I didn't know I could tell the board, pause where you're at. I'm like, stop. I'd have a surgery. Okay, let's go. And it'd start all over instead of saying pause, right? And then be like, okay, you can resume now and start from there. But yeah, a lot of it was on me. A lot of it was a learning curve for, I think, everybody. Um, for when I
yeah.
got discharged back in 11.
Yeah, I got mine was finalized in 11 as well. Um, so I can go into more details a little bit later, but I'm just going to zoom through my childhood and up and then talk a little bit more about kind of
Yeah.
what you were talking about. So I was born to addict alcoholic parents. And so I came into the military with a lot of trauma. I was born to addict alcoholic parents. I was in foster care. I dealt with different types of abuse and neglect. Even when I came into foster care, I had that hunger belly, where the belly sticks out and
Yeah.
then pretty skinny everywhere else type thing. I was in foster care for about 6 years, was finally adopted at 9 with my brother. We were adopted, and then we dealt with, um, other things that were going on. We had a whole lot of foster kids in and out of the house. When I was 12, there was some unwanted sexual stuff going on for me, And that was also when I was introduced to weed and alcohol. And before that, I had already started with a food addiction because I had food insecurity when I was younger. And so I would be hoarding food and I would binge eat. And then when I hit puberty, I started gaining weight. And so instead of gaining the weight or facing the addiction, I got into bulimia. And then I started with self harm, and then I was introduced to the, weed and alcohol, and that was, they say, I have arrived." That was what let me be able to function in life, and things just progressively got worse. I did have a lot of good in my childhood as well, but I was very blind to that for a very long time. I was just full of pain and resentments. I never processed through any of my stuff. There was a lot of, "Hey, just get over it, move forward." You know, I didn't really see a lot of people talking about trauma. There was a lot of, "Hey, just don't ask about it because it's not really happening," type thing. And so I just got really good at hiding and pushing down. And then when I was 17, I again still haven't processed through any of my childhood stuff. I ended up going and partying with my boss and his two friends. I was 17, they were 21, 22, and above. And they had me smoke something that I still don't know exactly what it was after I was really drunk, and my virginity was taken by 3 of them. And yes, and so that was really rough. I was a junior in high school. I had just moved up to Utah to live with my brother, and that happened, and I just was not in a really good place. And so I did have some good, really amazing spiritual moments that happened, but overall, I was blinded and was just felt broken and didn't know what I was gonna do with life, and I just knew I needed to do something. So my dad made the comment about, "Hey, why don't you join the Navy or something?" Because he was Navy, and I was like, "Fine," and the next week I was in the Army. And then he's like, "Oh, you can." Huh, yeah, yeah. He's like, "You could sign up for a few years." I signed up for 6, and he was not happy about that. But I ended up, going to training and then ended up going into Germany, and then I married the first soldier that said, "I love you." You know, he ended up, getting his girlfriend pregnant while we were married. And I'm already traumatized from the childhood stuff. I'm traumatized from the teenage stuff. And now I am going through a divorce at 20 years old in Germany, away from family, away from friends, and alcohol became my best friend. And so at one point I ended up in the army substance abuse program. But that one was like 1 hour a day for a class, and I just got better at hiding the alcohol.
Right.
And I loved being in Germany. I loved the traveling, it was beautiful, but about 89% of my memories are clouded by the alcohol. And back when it was fun was when I was throwing up to drink more because my stomach was full and I wanted to keep drinking, or I would cry on the curb because I didn't wanna go home, or I would go and lay down on the bathroom floor because I just needed to reset so I could drink more. And it was also I have an NCO that's a really good friend of mine who told me, and I didn't remember this, and I still don't remember it, but I know that she told me about it, that my drinking had gotten so bad that I went traveling on vacation with her to Prague, and she told me, "If you pick up 1 drink, I'm leaving you here," because I was that bad. And there were multiple times that I got lost. I remember getting lost in Berlin and in other places just because I was so extremely drunk. And anyways, there's just a lot of stuff that was happened. I got really huge into promiscuity. I had no worth because of the stuff that I went through in childhood, and I was good at my job, but I was not good at life, you know. And I again, never fully processed through anything, and so then I ended up getting stationed in Washington, and that's when they told me, "Hey, you are." Oh, let me back up. basic training, when I first started training, I started immediately having issues with my body. My hips were having issues from basically day one. My body did not do well with the training, but I kept pushing through. Everything was good. I pushed through, you know. And then when I was in Germany, I had gotten in a snowboarding accident and kind of popped one of my hips out of place. And, you know, they put it back, did physical therapy, you know, just kind of pushing through, keep going, drink water, drive on, you know, around this time as well, you know, the entire time. Hey, Willis, welcome back. So, um, the entire time that I'm in the military, I'm getting put on what's it called? Extra duty for PT because I
Yeah.
can't keep up with my running. I can't keep up with the physical stuff. And you know, I was always kind of like on the edge of overweight, but not really overweight, but just something was not right with my body. And I didn't know what it was, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I was always the one that had to be the, oh, what's it called? The road guard with the vest and the cones, you know, the lights, you know, because it's like, "Oh, I've got to be in the front because I have to keep up."
Right.
And so I was the one that everyone would get pissed off at, and this is something I haven't talked about on any of my other podcasts, so you guys are a first here. But because I forgot about this
Nice.
stuff, right? Yeah, and so you guys are getting the inside scoop. But I was the one that people would get pissed off at because you're only as fast as your slowest person. And that was such a rough thing. I would get picked on all the time, especially in basic training and AIT. Like I would get picked on a lot because I could not keep up. And this actually goes into, and I had forgotten about this too, in high school, I played, or junior high, I played a little bit of sports and I could never keep up with the running. Like my body just did not like the running. And I have the answer now, and I'll give you a little sneak peek. I was recently diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which my body, it's a genetic condition where my body makes a defective collagen.
Mm,
And so everything is more stretchy than it's supposed to be. And so
mm,
there were hints when I was in childhood, you know, that I had this, but nobody, you know, it's just childhood. You know, I didn't know how to talk about that my body doesn't feel right. I don't know how to explain to people that when I'm driving and somebody else is driving a car and they turn a corner, I feel like I'm getting whiplash every time. Like my whole body just moves more than it's supposed to. And it started way back when I was a child, and now I have these answers, but I didn't know that, and this I will say for anybody who's listening, keep an eye out for your children if they are very extra hypermobile, you know, keep an eye out if they're having pains in multiple joints and stuff like that, you know? Like I always had these party tricks where I could put my thumb all the way back to my wrist and you know different things and there was a lot of these different things that if people knew what the diagnosis was, they would have known to look out. And maybe had I not joined the military, I wouldn't be as bad as I am today. You know, and so that's why early knowledge is so important, you know. But anyways, we didn't know about any of this. We didn't know anything. It was just I was a little bit extra flexible. Like not near. My brother was more flexible than I was. Like it wasn't much, but my body still wasn't working right. And so hypermobile doesn't necessarily mean that you're really, really flexible, but it's just that things move more than they're supposed to. And so, anyways, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but I'll get back into that a little bit. But this just kind of to let you know that I wasn't crazy, but I felt crazy this entire time that something is going on with my body, you know. And so that was another reason. So I had the emotional stuff that was going on, and then the stress of the military. Plus, in the military, everybody drinks. Not everybody, but mostly everybody drinks to socialize, to for comfort, for whatever it
yeah.
is. And then you add on the layer that I just never felt comfortable in my own skin. for a couple reasons. A, because of this Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but also because I'm a bloomin' alcoholic, and I just never knew that I was an alcoholic, but that's an added layer to it all as well, and that plays a factor later on. So moving back forward, and you can stop me at any point. I can talk, and I can
No,
talk
you're
and talk and
good.
talk.
You're good. If
Okay.
I have a question, I'll interrupt you.
Okay. So moving forward again. I end up in Washington State. And in Washington State, they say, "Hey, guess what? You're getting deployed." So I was like, "All right." So you take this traumatized person who hasn't dealt with any of her stuff, uncomfortable in her skin no matter what. And then you're like, "Hey, by the way, good evening, Jason. Hi." But, by the way, now we're going to give her a gun and we're going to send her to Iraq, you know? And so I was a medic and I worked with the Brigade Support Battalion. And the first 4 months, so I break my deployment into three. Okay. My first 4 months, I worked at the aid station and I kind of did a little bit of the ambulance driving. And I also would go out on missions with my battalion, with like the mechanics when they would go out on missions or some of the other companies and whatnot. And it was just pretty simple. It was an occasional mission, but mostly working there. When I worked at the aid station, I had my first experiences with death. And also, we had a lot of corruption going on in our unit. And I talk more about that in an interview I just did with my podcast with a friend of mine that I deployed with. And so if anybody's interested, go check out the podcast Every Day's a Saturday, USMC Veteran. And it's the interview with Marcus Weaver that should be coming out this week. And so in that one, I talk more details about the corruption that we had in our unit. But one of the issues that we had was there was a bridge that so we worked with the striker brigade. So we were the striker brigade. And if anybody doesn't know what a striker is, it's basically a big old tank on wheels. It's like a modern day tank type thing. Well, there was some people in our unit that were heading over this bridge and they got word that there were some Hajis on the other side. And what they were told to do from the higher ups, and I don't know who approved this and why they went through it, but they were told to turn around on the bridge. Yeah. And this bridge, I don't even know how high it was, but it was pretty dang high. They were told to turn around on the bridge, and they went ahead and did it. And they went over. And the gunny and the driver, neither of them had their safety harnesses on. Gunner, they usually don't, to be realistic, they usually don't, so they can get up and down quickly if needs be, right? And so the driver and the gunny did not have it. They ended up out and they were KIA, or killed on impact. And everybody else in the striker were really injured. Now, normally they don't bring the dead to us. They bring them to the mortuary and they bring the wounded to us. But because everybody was together, they just brought them all to us. And so that was my first experience with actual death was they brought in those two guys and I was on what's called Ready Up. And so Ready Up is where it's a 24-hour duty where you are on call for the ambulance driver, right? You are picking people up from the aid station, bringing them to the helipad. You're bringing them, from the airport to the aid station or to the helipad, whatever has to happen. And so it was my duty to be ready to go to the helipad. But at some point, I was also kind of running around because there was so much going on in that moment that I was running around getting medical supplies. And at some point, I got stopped by one of my sergeants, and this is something that haunts me to this day. And I don't always go into the details, but I'm gonna go ahead. Um, as I was running back to the back, one of my NCOs stops me, and like to me, it was just so cold. Like he had no emotion. And I know at this point he had dissociated, but and he had been doing things for a while, but he just kind of looks at me and he's like, Slider, because Slider is my maiden name, you know. He's like, Slider, go clean that shit up. And he pointed over, and one of the guys, the body bag wasn't closed all the way,
Hmm.
and his remains were leaking out. And so my job was to go clean it up and close him
Mm.
back up. And that was my first experience with death. Like at actual like I dealt with family members when I was younger, but this was my first time dealing with that. And, you know, of course, you know, you dissociate. You're like, okay, I've got to move. I got to do what I got to do, you know. So I went and cleaned it up, and then I helped, and then we took everybody to the helipad, you know, and we have we do kind of like an unofficial honor flight scenario type thing where people from the unit will come out and in a formation. Wow, I'm crying early, you know. But they'll come out in formation and we will drive them to the helipad, and we will send them off with honors, you know, and get them onto the helicopter so they can leave. And so we did that, you know, doing what we got to do. And then we go back and we go and we have to deal with all the blood and cleaning up everything. And so we get everything cleaned up, and then we go back, and in the Bohica is the building. If you guys don't know what Bohica stands for, bend over, here it comes again. That was yeah. So that was what we called our little 24-hour shack that we were there waiting for what we needed to do. And we had a litter in there, which is a stretcher for civilians. We had a litter in there that we could like lay down and rest if we needed to. And I laid there and I just cried. And my battle buddy that was with me, he was one like, I don't think he ever really liked me, but in that moment, he just saw me as an equal. And he just sat down next to me. He's like, "This is your first dead body, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I get it." And he put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, "You take as much time as you need to." And it was just we were just battle buddies there, you know. And that one hurt really hard because that was my first experience, you know, with that. So then there another incident, you know, that really affected me. There was a lot, you know, as a medic, you know, I dealt with a few different things, but these are the big ones, right? And the other big one was there was a 12-year-old boy. And I'm just trying to get it out so while I'm crying and I could just finish crying, you know. But there was a 12-year-old boy that took a stray 50 cal
Mm.
through his thigh. I don't know if he's alive or not. I know he was barely hanging on when he left. But that one was a rough one too because local nationals, we're not supposed to bring them to the FOB either. They've got their own stuff, but they did. They brought them to us, and so now that they're in our custody, we have to take care of them. So he was treated, and his dad was with him. And again, my job, take him to the helipad. His dad was not doing well. He was like having a really hard time, just like, "Help my son, what's going on?" Like he was just not in a good place. And what I had to do is I had to separate him from his son so
Mm.
that they can get his son into one ambulance. You know, I do not judge me. I have horrid memory issues. I cannot remember what the ambulance truck is called. It's a Humvee, but it's with the big box on the back. I can't
I don't know
Big
what
remember
it's
high
what.
called
back
either.
and hard back. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember
But
what it is.
anyways, we just called him the ambulance, you know. And so we had to get the son in one and then the dad in the other. And the dad was just pissed. But I just remember seeing, and the dad, it wasn't pissed. He was scared. Like he
Yeah.
didn't want to lose his kid. So anyways, that one was really hard too. Just seeing this little boy who I don't know what he was doing, if he was involved with anything or not, because that's the shitty thing is kids get involved with this fight all the time. But from
Yeah.
what I was told, this was a stray 50 cal. And so this boy, regardless, even if he whatever grew up to be whatever, it doesn't matter. This little helpless boy was injured. And so this was really one of those moments where I was just like, why the hell are we here? What is going on, So anyways, I dealt with that. There was also multiple other times, lots of blood, having to deal with it, and we were getting mortared on a regular basis, to the point where it got to that point where we didn't even run for half the time, and most of the time as medics, if you were there, you had to run to the aid station anyway. And so it's like, if we're gonna die, this is how we're gonna die, you know. Around that same time, so this is still the first 4 months of the deployment. Around that time, also, I wanted to do a shout out to Erin McClyman. Her story, I feel like her story needs to get out there, more. So I don't know everything with her story, but I know that she went home on leave. And yep, she went home on leave. And when she was home on leave, she got in a fight protecting her sister, I believe. And she ended up getting her neck broken.
Mm.
She fought and fought and fought to get back onto our deployment. Like she got political people involved because she's like, I need to go back and be with my people. Okay. The night she got back, a bunch of us went and had like dinner and like coffee drinks and stuff like that. And the next day, she got sent to another fob and she ended up getting mortared on the way to the chow hall.
Mm.
And she did not make it back.
Damn.
Yeah. And that was one of those like again, what the heck are we doing here, But it was beautiful to see her dedication to us, you know. And so that one was rough to deal with. But anyways, so I am dealing with that not understanding why I'm here. I'm already mentally not in a good place, with everything else going on. And I ended up for the second 4 months. So this is, I believe she went home. I believe this happened with her in the first 4 months, but it might have been the second 4 months, but don't quote me because I can't remember exactly. But the second 4 months, I get over and get sent to the field artillery guys. So being with the field artillery guys, I became their truck medic. And I started going out on missions with them almost every day. And, I thank God that we were never blown up or shot at. Okay. But with that, there's a lot of the insecurity. I remember there was at one point we got to a bridge and one of the gunnies, he's like, normally we would have one of the trucks behind us stop to clear the road. But the gunny's like, "No, me and Doc can do it." He grabs my weapon, gets it ready. He's like, "Let's go." And me and him jump out and we go clear one of the bridges. And I was not expecting that. I mean, nothing happened, but still it's that you never know what's going to happen, right? And
Right.
I remember that was pretty interesting. But anyways, so for those 4 months going out on missions, again, I haven't processed through any of my stuff. And like a good alcoholic, there are ways that you find alcohol. Okay. So I won't go into the details of how that happened, but we found a lot of alcohol. And there was a lot of corruption going on as well with this, and I was participating in some of that corruption. I won't go into all the details. Let's just say my extracurricular activities were not very appropriate. And anyways, so going on missions all the time, hurting my body, dealing with all of this promiscuity stuff and the alcohol and just not in a good place. And at one point, in a hungover, crazy drunkenness, this kid got his leg cut open while we were on a mission because two guys were acting stupid. It was an NCO that cut I think he was an E4, cut his leg open, and then I had to go and sew it up, and I should have got him to the hospital, but we did not. Instead, we decided to come up with this huge lie, and we were getting investigated for the last 4 months of the deployment about it all. Like, it was ridiculous. And fast forward with this guy ended up getting medically discharged because I did not clean it correctly, and it got infected, and it also
Mm.
had clipped his tendon, and I wasn't paying attention to it. And so that was an amends that I had to make in my sobriety, was confronting that I participated in that. And he has since forgiven me, and we have continued talking, off and on over the years. But that was just to say where my mindset was, is I was in such this selfish spot, and was not really taking care of myself. I was doing the best I could to take care of my guys, but I didn't even know how to take care of myself. So was I really doing a good job and participating in all this, all of this corruption, and I around this time, again, when I'm going on a lot of missions, wearing all of this weight, wearing all of this gear, and I can't even tell you, 40 to 50 pounds of gear, would you say? Something like that, when just in a typical, and plus you
Yeah.
add on, I carry the aid bag on top of that. And so in the truck, bouncing up and down, when you're out of the truck and you're doing whatever you got to do, you're carrying all this weight, you're jumping in and out of the trucks, you're also doing all the truck maintenance, and then you're
And you
doing all
guys
the
had side plates by then too, right?
yes. Yep.
Yeah. See,
Yep.
I was there 05 for 60, I don't know, 63 to 67 days. And all
Yeah.
we had was the front back plate. And I want to say
Yep.
it was maybe 06, 07 is when they introduced the side plate. So even a little bit more weight than what
Yep.
I carried on a regular basis.
Yeah, we had the side plates, we had the groin protector, we had the neck protector, we had all of that stuff. Yeah. And so plus with the guys that I was working on, we were working out every day. Like, if we weren't on a mission, we would go and work out at the gym. And I got real into like doing weightlifting and stuff like that, And we didn't do as much running, but we still did some. So anyways, needless to say, I'm beating up my body in many different ways. I'm beating up my mind in many different ways. There's a lot of different things going on. You just feel unsafe naturally when you're over there too. And I already have felt unsafe my entire life. So there is a lot of the mentality going on and a lot of the physical. So after the 4 months of being with them, so now I've been out in theater for 8 months. I finally get to go home on leave. Now, right before I left, they told me, they're like, "Okay, you're not working in the field artillery guys anymore because of all of this investigation that's going." Now they're keeping it quiet. Not a lot of people know about it, but they're like, "You're getting your ass back over here with us." Right? Plus, they also knew that I was sleeping with a married man over there. So there was a lot of, like, I was not in a good place. My alcohol mentality did not care about other people. It just cared about protecting myself in whatever way that it could. So I go home on leave. Now, the day after I get home on leave, when my body finally rested and relaxed, I could not get out of bed. I was stuck in bed, and I ended up getting hospitalized. And they told me that I had, all they called it was bursitis and tendonitis of my hips.
Hmm.
I now know, like I said, that it's the EDS, but before it was just, this is bursitis and tendonitis. So I get sent back to Iraq after a week or two. I can't remember. I think it was 2 weeks after a little bit of rest and relaxation. Now I'm back with my regular unit, but now they have me on dead man's profile. And so that affects your mentality too, because you have been, like for me, I had been working my ass off really hard, you know, and playing hard, but now it's like, okay, well, now you're worthless. You can't do anything. So I go
That's
back to
that's
the
what it feels like.
yes, yes. So I go back to the ambulance driving, you know, but with that, I'm on dead man's profile, which means I can't run, I can't do exercise, I can't do anything. And this is they put me in physical therapy 3 days a week. And so my life was 24-hour duties on ambulance and then physical therapy. And that was really it for the last 4 months.
Which is
Mm.
crazy that they even kept you in country instead of sending you home.
Right.
To keep you in as a driver with you not being able to do anything else. That's just
Well, yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, they wanted to keep me in theater because they just needed bodies, especially
Yeah.
when people were going home. Like when people were going home, it turned into what was it? Um, what did we do? 24 on, 12 off. 24 on, 12 off. It turned
Mm.
into that, as
Man.
everybody was getting ready to send home. And so, like, my life was like literally sitting around at this point because I couldn't do PT. I wasn't with most of my battle buddies and stuff like that. But it was literally physical therapy, sitting on my butt and doing nothing most of the time. And
Mm.
so, again, got good at hiding the alcohol, and finding ways to getting it in. And so then I got sent home. And when I got sent home, they said, "Hey, here is the deal. We can either do this really dangerous surgery for your hips and cut out a square to give your bursa room to come out and affects your stability of your hips, or we can do a medical discharge." And I'm like, "You're not going to mess with the stability of my hips." So I chose the med board. So then they sent me to Brigade. And so over at Brigade, I worked at the Brigade Surgeon Cell. And so for those of you who don't know what that is the people that is in charge of the medical readiness for the entire brigade. And so I was at a desk job for the last year and a half. And so working at this desk job, I was kind of my own boss for a while. I didn't have to do PT. Sometimes I didn't even have to go to formation. I was answering at points directly to the sergeant major and he loved me, so I got away with murder. You know, I started gaining weight. My alcoholism got worse. And then, a few months after I had gotten back, I was like, I didn't know that I had an alcohol problem, but I was like, "Hey, maybe I should take a break from alcohol for a little bit." And so I took a year off from the alcohol while I was getting medically discharged, right? But I was miserable because I did not recognize that I was an alcoholic. I didn't recognize the emotional problems that I had. So I was just miserable. And again, I got so distracted in the promiscuity and just drama, for a long time. And I was part of Rear D for when we were getting all of my guys ready for deployment to Afghanistan. So our deployment was 2009 to 2010. And so now we go into 2011 and I'm working on the medical readiness, getting everybody ready to deploy to Afghanistan in 2011. And so now that mental health aspect again, like I should be going with these guys. And so feeling survivor's guilt,
Yeah.
like completely, you know, and so get them deployed. And then I got medically discharged. Okay. So after I got discharged finally, my integration had its good points, but also its not so good points. Okay. So when I got out, they gave me a $30,000 bonus because they're like, "Hey, had you stayed in, you would have got your sergeant and you would have, made this much money." So they gave me a $30,000 bonus. That was gone in 2 months.
Mm.
I had no direction in my life, so I just partied. I tried to go back home to where I grew up in Arizona, tried to go back home and just partied it up. And I went to Vegas and I took a couple people to Vegas and my life was just about partying. And I was like, I had no direction in my life. And I was like, after that money was gone, I was like, well, crap, now what? And so I was super, super blessed because I got medically discharged. And I feel so bad for people who don't get medically discharged because when I got medically discharged, my VA disability was already complete. Hey, Rich. My disability at the VA was already complete. So I already had a paycheck coming in. But there's so many people who get out and they don't have that, right?
Well, but that was part of the new med board process. So the med board process before us, it just went to your department, right? So the Department of the Army, Department of the Navy, Marine Corps, whatever. And then after you got out, you had to go to the VA. I was part of that pilot program early on that everything went to, for me, it goes to DC, to the Navy and the VA, and they both looked at it and I got both ratings back at the same time. So that 2010, 2011 timeframe is when that started happening. But before that,
Okay.
you still had to go to the VA.
And when
Okay.
I got out, we didn't even have that. So
No, you did. You just weren't told about it.
yeah, we wasn't
Yeah.
told about it in 2004. Like we were told, hey, you got 30 days, turn your shit in, get out. That was it. We didn't, hey, go to the VA, make sure you get all this shit lined out. We didn't have that when I was in, or we
She
were
was
just not
still in
told
high
about
school, Dave. She was still in high school. Shh.
I know, right?
Wait, what year was that?
Oh, 04.
04?
Oh yeah, no, I was what, in 10th grade?
Youngin.
Yeah.
So
She wasn't even in grade school when we enlisted. What are you talking about, Willis?
right. Oh man, to be that young. I wish I was that young again, but
Hell no. With
hindsight's 2020.
today's technology, absolutely not.
Yeah,
No.
definitely.
No.
So we're coming up on a quick hour. That was really quick. Granted, I know I had
Well, it
like
was quick
20
for you
minutes.
because you weren't here.
I know because I had like
After the
20
show,
minutes.
you were doing whatever.
So, man, I think we're gonna have to do part 3 because I think we're
Okay.
just barely scratching the surface of you and your journey. I know.
Yeah, we're at
What's up, Miss Betsy?
2011 and there's still another 14 years of my
Yeah.
my bottom of hitting my bottom in my alcoholism, discovering my trauma, discovering my physical issues, and then getting sober. Sorry, this is my pen, adaptive pen. Sorry. I was just
Nice.
playing with
Hey,
that
no,
in
I
case you
love
were
it.
wondering.
No, we love
Yeah.
it. We love it.
But and then, I got sober, there was a lot of stuff in between and then I got sober in 2017 and then my sobriety journey to now doing all this podcast stuff and recovery advocacy. So I told you I could talk. So I would love to come on and continue
Yeah,
on with my story.
we're gonna have to do a part 3 because I
Yeah.
think we're just barely scratching the surface because I know when the first episode when you came on, we talked a lot about what you're doing now with Brian and your poetry and how you got a book and you're working on other things as well. And now we got into your story, and we just got to the end of your military journey. We haven't got into the transition out of the military
Yes.
and the rabbit hole that you went down through that time frame, and now you're on the other end of your or you're on the, I don't want to say tail end of your healing journey, but
He's on
you're
the uphill climb. Dave.
yeah, you're on the uphill climb. And I think there's just a lot more to your story that I think could be beneficial to a lot of female veterans out there and also a lot of male veterans
I'll say
out
just
there.
a lot of veterans, period, or even just listeners that have gone through struggles and,
Yes.
are trying to find a way to get past that, to get up out of the hole and start living your life again.
Yeah. And not play that victim card, because I know when I was drinking a lot of alcohol, it was always about the victim mentality, and I had to get that out. and not be the victim.
Do we
Miss
have
Betsy,
time that I sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we have time that I could read a poem just based on that?
Yeah, sure. I was
Okay,
just
what
gonna
were you
say
gonna
hello
say
to
though?
I was just gonna say hello to Miss Betsy Ross. If you don't know who Miss Betsy Ross is, she wrote that book series right here called Fight, and she's amazing. So just want to give her a big shout out.
Awesome. Hi, Betsy. Yeah, so I talked about this before. This is the book that I have done. It's More Me Than I Used to Be: A Journey to Freedom, and it is full of my poetry and my photography. And I'll share this poem, and then I know we got to wrap up. I forgot that your show that we only do an hour, so I apologize, but I think it's
No,
Hey, you're
perfect
good.
no,
timing.
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
because so this poem is about, being down in the hole and then coming back up. And so next time I'll talk more about how deep of a hole that I dug, and then I'll talk about the journey of coming up. So I'm going to share this poem with you. So this is called My Tools. Okay. My tools. I was given two simple tools when I first opened my eyes. They were both meant to help me to get beyond the lies. One was a ladder that extended way beyond my farthest sight. One was a sturdy shovel to dig through pain or fight. The goal was to move forward and share love along the way, but somehow I got lost, and in pain, I chose to stay. Instead of using my shovel to help move the pain aside or fight through the emotions until they would subside, I kept digging even deeper and the walls began to climb. One day, when I looked up, I saw the cage inside my mind. In that moment, I remembered the infinite ladder on the edge, and I hoped the extending power could reach down below the ledge. In earnest, I yelled out, hoping someone would hear, and the one who gave the tools showed he was actually very near. He threw me down the ladder, but again, I got distracted. I started digging yet again, and the ladder never retracted. Once I started noticing I was in pain and alone, I looked up another time and could feel the sun that shone. I cried out as I did before, thinking no one was listening. But the ladder lowered down to me, and I could hear someone whistling. Again, I got lost in sorrow and grief and kept digging my life away until at last I finally realized that I was digging my very own grave. I yelled and I screamed and cried out loud. I could not see beyond that stifling black cloud. I blamed the one and only who had given me that shovel, and anyone else's name I could barely mumble. Never once did I think I may be doing something wrong until at last I cried out, "Can you please make me strong?" This time, with a thud, the ladder came crashing. I realized at that moment what I'd been lacking. For just the way I'd been working that shovel, a ladder is meant to be climbed, not there to be groveled. The one up above had been given me chances, a way to get out, but I only took glances. I took a deep breath, and with shovel in hand, I grabbed onto that ladder and lifted my foot from sand. The roots of the hole like a strong, jagged thorn were the scars of my heart trying to hook me to mourn. They grabbed onto my clothes to be a distraction, but I remembered that shovel was meant for protection. So, using the shovel to break through the emotion, I continued climbing upward, causing quite a commotion. I must have looked crazy emerging from down below, swinging a shovel on the ladder. It was quite a show. But as I looked around, tears filled my eyes. I saw other holes around me and I could hear the cries. You see, I wasn't the only one who used the shovel the wrong way. Most of us had gotten lost and couldn't see the light of day. There were other people still who were emerging from their holes. As we interlocked our eyes, we finally remembered our lost goals. With our shovels in our hands and our ladders leading the way, we continued on our journey and knew we'd be okay.
Mm,
Mm,
yeah,
Damn.
yeah, that's powerful.
Thank you.
Mm. Yeah, that I don't even know. I was gonna do the applause sign, the applause sounds for that, and I was like, no, I can't. It just wouldn't feel right, bro. That's
Thank you.
powerful because a lot of veterans don't realize that we have the tools to help ourselves, but a lot of times we use those tools to hurt ourselves. We keep digging ourselves deeper and deeper into that rut. Um, and until somebody that sometimes somebody comes and says, "Hey, we need to help you. We need to get you out of this rut that you're in, this hole that you're in."
Well, and it's
Um,
usually the ones that dug themselves out
yeah,
that
Yep.
come to your side and say, "Hey, I got out. Let's see if we can't
this,
get you out."
yeah. I like so I'm a type of person that I will get in that hole with you to get you out of that hole. There's some people
Hell no,
that
you're not
will,
standing on my shoulders. I'll dig an angle and we'll come out together, but I'm not jumping in the damn hole.
Well, and that's why I talk about the ladder, right?
yeah,
It's like, okay, somebody can get in there with you, right? But if you're still not using the ladder the right way, like there's steps that we have to take for ourselves. We have to learn how to utilize these tools. And then also the thought that went through my mind is we also have the wrong definition of what the tool is. Like, the biggest one for me, right? In the military, you're taught resiliency, 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 right? But the thing is, for so long, I thought resiliency meant I have to be strong. But no, resiliency is the ability to reach out for help. It's to use the people and the tools that are there for you.
yeah.
And one of my poems that I read last time, with Willis,
Army
it
strong.
talks about that. Yeah, Army Strong. It talks about that idea that the thing that I hated about the military was that I always had to have a battle buddy. But that is the thing that has saved my life in my sobriety. It's having a battle buddy. So resiliency is not about doing it by yourself. You always have a battle buddy with you. You always have people that are helping. I like that. Yeah, sometimes just got to stop digging and start fighting the hands that hold because your arms are strong from all that digging. I like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that's the thing is like we have to learn the actual definitions of these things that we're taught. In the military, we're taught to just do this, do this, do this, but we don't understand why. And in the civilian world, now we get to learn why. Why did I have to have a flipping battle buddy with me at all times? Oh, because I would get screwed if I was by myself, and
yeah,
now I get to utilize that. Why do I have to do sit reps? What this is so stupid. Why do I have to do this? Well, because I need to know what happened. I need to know what I could do better, what I can improve on. So
yeah,
all of these tools that we're taught, we didn't know how to utilize them correctly. And so now we get to learn how to utilize them correctly.
yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah, so part 3, if you're watching this now or watching or listening or whatever later, tune in for part 3 because we're going to get into a little bit more of her post-military journey, and get more into what she's doing now, more into her poetry, more into her art, her photography, everything that she's doing. You can also go check her out on sliderbabe.com. So you go check her out there. You can also catch her on every day's a Saturday USMC Veteran Coffee Talk with Marie and Bryan. Um, so go check out that podcast as well. And then catch her on Tip of the Spear too. She'll be back this November. We're going to do it on the 19th. We're not going to. So with Thanksgiving being the 27th, I wasn't going to do it on the 26th. I was like, let's do it the week before. That way, if somebody's got to travel for the holidays, they're not going. So the 19th will be the Tip of the Spear this month. We should have um, 3-star General Brian Kelly on. I'm waiting on response from General Kelly and his team.
Man, you gotta give him a couple of days. He just
I
wrapped
know,
up all that stuff
I
that they were
know,
going
I
on
know.
out there at the National
I
Harbor. Come
know.
on.
We'll have Don Bramer, who is the co-founder of American Freedom Fund, also the founder of Bramer Group in DC. He's a Kentucky guy, Kentucky native. He'll be back on as well, and then everybody else that joins. This past tip of the spear, man, it was a very heated discussion, but it was a discussion that was really, I think, really needed to be had. And what it was about was the disparity in treatment between veterans. How this veteran, who's a combat veteran, treats this veteran who is a support staff or non-combat veteran. And then how they or how the combat guys knock down the ones that didn't serve in combat. And then we also talked about um, stolen valor compared to borrowed valor. So we also talked about that as well. The good thing is when we got done with the conversation, everybody was still friends and nobody was butthurt, which is a great thing. So if we can have those conversations and have civil discussions about those, then that's what we're going to have. So this topic, I don't know what we're going to talk about I think we're going to talk about.
We got 3 weeks to discuss it. Let's wrap this damn show up. What are you talking about, Willis? Dang.
All right. So Miss Maria, thank you for coming
We
on
got to
and
get
hanging
her
out with
scheduled
us.
to come back here the next couple of weeks so we can
Yes,
finish
I
her
would love
story
to.
and her life events, and so we can inspire more people through the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. Come on, Willis.
There you go.
I would love to come back multiple times. I've got my podcast that we're doing multiple episodes, and then I'm also going to be on the Misfit Nation on the 10th, which is going to be awesome. But I love to talk. Anybody who's listening, if you guys want me on your show, reach out to me, sliderbabe.com. Like, I love to talk. So I will be on here as much as you want. This is the stuff that I have joy about, because I have finally found my voice in my healing, and I am encouraging other people to use theirs. And the only way that I can do that is by sharing my story. And so this is what I do.
Yep.
I love these kind of conversations. So thank you guys so much for having me. And yes, let me know. I'll come back on anytime.
Yeah, we'll
No,
get you
thanks for taking
scheduled
the
again.
time. Thanks for being willing to be vulnerable and share your life events. We all say that, it's a story, right? So this is my story, this is my story. But when it comes down to it, you look at it and it's life events, right? Because a story can be fiction or non, but your life events are true and did happen, right? So thank you for sharing your life events with us and everybody here at Homefront Sit Rep.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you again. And we'll be drop you down in the green room, Gunny, and I was going to close it out. If you got things you got to do, you can go ahead and do that. If not, we'll talk to you when we close out the show.
All right. Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. All right, Gunny. Sorry about technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, but
It happens, and it usually happens on your end, so I'm good with it.
I guess I'm gonna have to switch over back to the other PC that I bought, and try that out and see. Maybe it's this computer here. We'll see.
Maybe you
I'm
just
gonna
gotta clean some stuff up. Maybe there's something running in the background that isn't showing up, and you
Well,
just gotta close
that's what
everything up.
I went and looked at, and I didn't. I went to start up and closed everything that I could think of just in the startup menu. But it is what it is. We'll figure it out. I'll probably wind up moving over to the mini PC and getting it fully operational with both monitors, because I was
Yeah.
running it with one monitor at one time, but I think I'm going to try to get both monitors up and running and see how I can work that into the system. So, but anywho, I know you're coming close to an end of your busy season, kind
Yeah.
of, sort of. So you're going to be, of course, we're taking our 2 week break in December for the end of the year, and then we'll definitely get back to the grind of things January, whatever time and whatever first Sunday in January, we'll get back into the grind of things. But
Yeah, as long as it's not New Year's, I have not looked towards 2026 yet to see what is that first weekend. I don't think it is.
yeah, well, I'm going to be in Florida the week New Year's. So let's see. So it will be January 4th will be our first Sunday episode when we come back in January. But So tomorrow we got Army veteran Donald Clack. He's an attorney, not Quack, Clack. He'll be on tomorrow. I know Gunny's going to be watching his kiddo race because he's only got a few more races left. So Gunny will not be here tomorrow. So he'll be taking care of that and hanging out with family because family is the most important thing. Um, so catch us tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll have Army veteran Donald Clack. What? Making fun of
Eastern.
me?
Eastern.
Eastern. I'm gonna, yeah.
It's been a minute.
Us,
You've been doing well until today. I think that computer has you frazzled.
I am a little frazzled. Yes, I am. So big shout out to Matt with the Life Liberty Show. He's on TikTok right now commenting, so I want to give him a big shout out. Yeah, he said he found a lag when he had too many search tabs open, which I didn't have. I don't have anything open right now. I closed everything down. So, and then when I restarted the computer, it was still doing it. I was like, but I also checked my upload speed, and for some reason, my upload speed, instead of being the 10 that it normally is, it was at 0.5. My download speed was great, but my upload. So I think that's what it was.
For a company, you need to tell them to get you some higher speed stuff in your neighborhood.
Well, so AT&T is not out here. It's Windstream, or Spectrum. They don't have AT&T out here. So I've been trying to get the fiber out here, and I'm hoping it comes, but it ain't yet. So, but anywho,
nice,
so yeah,
man. It's nice.
I can't wait to get it. I mean, I might have to move to friggin' BFE to get fiber. I live in the city. I figured I already have it, but no, I don't. So
well, it's your city, so you know how your mayor is.
Yeah. So and
Anyway.
then next week, Veterans, or is next week Veterans Week?
It is. It is. So Sunday, I don't know if I'll be back for Sunday show. I was assigned the Veterans Day parade in Philly, so I'll be in Philly that day. I don't know what time the parade is yet, or what time I'll be back, but I think I'm flying back on our team plane. So if I'm back in time, I'll be on. If not, you'll be missing out for me again, but then I will definitely be here on the 10th.
Yeah, you got to be here November 10. So Marine Corps birthday's coming up November 10. We're gonna have all Marines telling Marine stories. Maybe sharing some snacks, some crowns. Who knows? We'll see. It should be fun. I'm hoping that I can get Matthew Bradford on that one. And then Marie just said she could be here Sunday. She don't have a guest, so we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. But yeah, so we got some cool episodes coming up. We're gonna have Marie come back sometime in November. I got a few open dates, so I'm gonna see what works for her, see what works for us, and get her on. Hopefully,
I got a response from the one that we talked about the other day. She wants to come on the show. I just need to get her email so you can get it scheduled.
Yes, do that, because I'd love to have her on and tell her story as well, and share her music. So I'm excited about that one.
Sure.
So we can get her definitely on in November. That's for sure. We got some open dates. So yeah, that'll be a cool one. I think. Do we want to spoil it and say who it is?
No.
All right. So you'll have to keep watching every Sunday or Monday to see who it is. Just say this: she's a female singer and she served in the military. There you go. Good.
That's it.
I'm not going to tell you what branch.
Nope.
So, all right, Gunny, this is you, brother.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Don't let the dark days win. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring you up and not tear you down.
Yeah, you got to cut the toxic people out of your life. And the thing is, the toxic people could be the ones, your family members. I've had to cut toxic people out of my life.
I mean, that's part of post-traumatic growth, right? Is getting rid of some of the negativity in your life. And unfortunately, sometimes it is your family and sometimes it is your closest friends, because, I've said it before. I had my peers, I've had teachers, I had people tell me, you're not going to make it through Marine Corps boot camp. You're not going to do this. Well, 14 plus years later and leaving as a gunnery sergeant, I think I did it, you know?
You did all right.
And it wasn't to prove them wrong, it was to prove me right. So, I mean, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to get rid of, unfortunately, it is family sometimes, just because, they have nothing positive to say or no value to add to your life.
Yeah. So don't let the dark day win. This right here, in the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. That's just so powerful. And then this right here kind of goes into, what we've been talking about the last couple weeks about the negativity between combat veterans and non-combat veterans. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains, and together we heal, we rise, and we carry each other forward. If we keep cutting each other down, we will never carry each other forward. And we as veterans, I know as Marines, we leave no man behind. So we have to carry each other forward. So stop the negativity, stop the cutting each other because, oh, well, you didn't serve in a combat time. I can't help it when I joined. Gunny can't help it when he joined. Marie can't help it when she joined. We every everybody served at different times.
You don't get to pick
And
and choose, right? It's the needs
right.
of your branch of where they're gonna send you. You don't get to pick and like, when we first enlisted, there was nothing going on.
Yeah.
1997, there was nothing going on. It was complete peacetime, right? And then, you fast forward to, 2001. I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of skirmishers in between, like Kosovo and our time to Haiti, but, there wasn't nothing we could do about any of the
Right.
violence down there because of our rules of engagement. And that's another thing. Rules of engagement dictate on what you get to do too. So there's so many factors into it. If you were a frigging cook, you were a cook. That's it. Bottom line. You did
Yep.
your job. You did what you signed up to do, or what you told to do, or what your scores let you do.
Yep.
Either way, you served your country. It's something that less than 7% of the entire nation's population has ever done. Shut your mouth, be proud of what you did, and move forward. Period.
You should have just broke out the gunny voice just then. That would have
Ah,
the knife hand.
no, I try not to do that anymore, man. I try.
Try. Hashtag be someone stranger. Guys, we talk about this on every episode of Homefront Sit Rep. Be someone stranger. And what I mean by this, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger. If you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if they give you the red flags, "I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream," ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And more than likely, they're gonna open up to you and tell you how they're doing, how they're feeling, what's going on with them. And you never know. You might just save that person's life. You never know.
It takes a village. Marie talked about it earlier. David mentioned it. I mentioned it. If you're in the hole, reach out. If you think one of your battles buddies might be in the hole, reach out. Pick up your phone, do the cell phone roulette, open up your contacts, scroll through, and just hit a button. Whoever it lands on, give them a call. If they don't answer, go again. Leave them a message. Hey, just thinking about you today. Hey, I need somebody to talk to. Whatever. But use your people.
Yeah, use your people, like Gunny says. Find your tribe, find your village. Um, like that one saying says, "We carry each other forward." That's what finding your village, finding your tribe is all about. Big shout out to our partners, Heroes Media Group, Reese Across America Radio, which you can find Homefront Sit Rep on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. 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 Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. You can find Homefront Sit Rep on reachaccrossamerica.org/radio, or you can download the Audacity app, TuneIn app, or iHeartRadio. Search the word briefs and you can find us there. Also, right now, Reese Across America is getting ready to gear up to lay reefs across the country at national cemeteries. If you're a 501c3, and you want to participate in the program that they have, go to reachacrossamerica.com, sign up your organization as a 501c3, and then start posting that link so you can start getting wreaths placed on graves across America. And if you want to support an organization that's already there, go see if they have a link for Reach Across America Radio. You could probably go to reachacrossamerica.com and search the organization, and then you could buy a wreath and support your local nonprofit in your area. Also, Military United podcast streams, Elite Engraving, who did this amazing hat right here. Same flag, same oath.com. Uncle Sam's wearing our shirt, Marine It Down. You can go buy that from same flag, same oath.com, or you can go to homefrontsitrep.com. Also want to give a big shout out to Brent Casey with Valor Coins and Pins. Who am I forgetting? Anybody? I'll give a big shout out to Darren Davis with RDC Shoe Company. Go check out rdcshoes.com. He's got I think 3 different sets of shoes right now. You got the Glory, the Patriot, and the Folds of Honor shoes. So you can go get those. And he also has a pair of golf shoes that he came out with as well. So go check out rdcshoes.com. I think that's it. And then don't forget to check out sliderbabe.com. Sliderbabe.com. You can find Miss Marie's story there. You can find out a lot more about her. I think her poems are on there as well. She's got a whole list of poems on there. So go check out sliderbabe.com. But other than that, Gunny, it's that time of night, my friend. Like we always say on Homefront Sit Rep, stay safe out there. We got your
got your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.